Because these are going into the food processor, these onions, they don't need to be cut super small. Just small enough that we can get a saute on them, and then we'll pop them into the food processor to get them nice and ground finely for our meatballs. All right, the onions are just starting to kind of brown a little bit, and it's been about 3 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the mushrooms. I have about half a cup of chopped mushrooms. It's about 4 mushrooms. I didn't chop them too small, but I chopped them enough that they'll get a nice softening to them. I want them to be soft. Turn the heat back on. And then I'm gonna put in a clove of minced garlic. And I'm just using jarred minced garlic. So a good teaspoonful, thereabouts. I'm gonna let this saute down about 2 minutes until these mushrooms are soft, and then the whole thing can go into the processor. Everything is softening up. The mushrooms aren't perfectly soft yet, but I'm gonna shut this off and let everything hang out in this hot pan while I work on the food processor. So it's been just a couple of minutes. I can smell the garlic, mushrooms are softening, and I'm gonna shut it off. Putting 1/3 of a cup of sunflower seeds. I'm using sunflower seeds because I find them to be the cheapest. They also work great. You could use pecans, you could use walnuts, you could use pine nuts, whatever you want. I'm putting that into my food processor. I also have peanuts in there, as you can see, because I didn't have quite enough sunflower seeds. Whatever nuts you want to use. And then we're just going to process it until it's a fine powder. So about like that is what we want, because we don't want to go too far and turn into butter. So just like that. All right, after I got the nuts ground, here they are. I've added in all the other ingredients. I have the beans rinsed and drained. I'm using black beans. I have the rolled oats. Those are quick oats. I have all of the various spices and the tomato paste. I'm going to blend this just a bit and then add in the the garlic and onion mixture that we sauteed earlier. All right, I got the beans blended, and then I just added in the onions and garlic, and I'm going to blend that up, and that'll be the final blend. So I want it to be nice and mixed well. And then I did save the pan that I had sauteed the onions and garlic in to use for our marinara sauce. Right, here is our mixture. It's pretty thick, and you probably had to scrape it a few times to get it to pulse. It's good to go. We're going to turn it into meatballs and pop it into the oven. All right, so I have them all created in meatballs. They're, what is that, about 2 inches? About 2 inches, about a good heaping tablespoon. They don't look particularly pretty, I know, but they're going to taste yummy and be great. I'm going to head to the oven at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. And while they are in the oven, we will move on to making some marinara sauce for our subs. I have oil heating in the pan here, and I added my chopped onions. I had them chopped fairly small so that nobody gets a big bite of onion in their sauce. And I'm going to let this sit and saute for about 3 minutes until it's soft and starts to turn a little bit brown. All right, my onions got soft and a little bit brown, so I added 4 cloves of minced garlic and 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. And I'm going to let all this saute up together for a few minutes before we add in our tomatoes. I'm just using the garlic, minced garlic that you get in the refrigerator section. This stuff keeps it easy and fast. Feel free to go ahead and use that. There's no shame in that game. The garlic and onions and Italian seasoning have been simmering for a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add in our crushed tomatoes. And give it a good stir. And then I just want this to come to a low boil, very gentle boil. And then I'm going to turn it down and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper, and then we're going to be good to go. Okay, we have our meatballs out. They are, as you can see, they're very firm, easy to move around just like a regular meatball would be. Let me see if I can open one of these without having 2 hands. You can see the inside. The inside is soft. And we're going to use these for our meatball subs and add our marinara sauce on top with our cheese. And I'm going to take a look at our marinara sauce right now. Here's our marinara sauce. And I'm going to turn this up a little bit so that it starts to really boil up a little bit more heavily while I am putting together our subs. So I cut out my hot dog buns and put my meatballs inside my hot dog buns. You can see some of them have 3, some of them have 4. I have 5 subs here, and you could get 6 if you wanted to make some of these a little bit less meatballs. It just depends. And I just go ahead and put them straight back onto the parchment paper that the meatballs were cooked on so that they can go in the oven on this pan and I don't have to dirty another pan. So from here, we're going to add our sauce and our cheese and then pop them in the oven on the broiler. And it only takes about maybe a quarter cup, half a cup. How about we go in between? Third a cup of sauce. You're going to have leftovers of this recipe of marinara sauce. I usually store it and use the marinara sauce for another purpose. And then I always serve a little bit on the side to add more if anyone wants more. So we're just going to add the marinara sauce on top of these meatballs. Make sure they're really good and smothered. These are going to be a little messy, and that's okay. But this can get really dry if there's not enough sauce. So feel free to just pile it on there. Get that sauce on all of the corners. And then we'll add our cheese and bake it all up. There we go. I am using a Grand Cru. It's kind of a cross between a Parmesan and a cheddar. And I really like it because it gives a lot of flavor and has that same kind of texture as Parmesan cheese. But go ahead and use mozzarella, use Parm, use cheddar, use Gouda, whatever kind of cheese your family prefers. Put it on there, get it in there pretty good. You can kind of get it in between the, who cares if you get it in, if you have to pull these things apart, no big deal. Just smother it on there. And then when it broils, it will get all nice and melty and beautiful. All right, here we go. They were broiled, and actually I was talking to my husband on the phone, so you can see I actually over broiled them just a bit. Typical real life situation. All right, this is what they look like. They are ready to eat. I added a little bit of fresh thyme on top, a little bit more of the marinara, and oh my gosh, does that not look delicious? Those are easy, they're budget friendly, they are vegetarian. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.